We believe we can build this place into a championship contender. That's what I believe. That's what I'm going to do everything in my power to help this organization get there. But you got to let it, hurt you a little bit and really drive you throughout the offseason.
Have you ever seen a sneaker rumor explode so wildly that half the internet was convinced Nike had canceled one of the most anticipated releases in women's basketball history? That's exactly what happened when whispers started swirling that Caitlyn Clark's upcoming shoe deal was in jeopardy. For a while, nobody knew what was real and what was pure clickbait. People were speculating about Nike's financial hardships, claiming that the brand had gotten cold feet on a young star. Fans panicked. Sneakerheads bickered. Conspiracy theories were popping up like wildfires. Then, almost out of nowhere, came the news that sent the sneaker world into a frenzy. Caitlyn Clark wasn't losing one signature release, she was gaining two.
Also, I feel like we're just scratching the surface. Like, everybody asked me like where I think this is gonna go and what it's gonna be, and I don't really have an answer, because if you would have told people this is where the WNBA is, 5 years ago, you would have said this is where we're gonna be now. People probably wouldn't have believed you.
In fact, far from disappearing on her, Nike had doubled down on Clark's future. It was a shocking reversal of the rumor mill's doom and gloom predictions. Suddenly, the conversation switched from, did Nike really walk away? To, wait a second, there are two new shoes dropping? The first is the Kobe 5 Pro Indiana Fever Edition, scheduled to hit shelves on June 1st, 2025. Then, as if that bombshell wasn't enough, a second colorway, called the Kobe 6 Pro Light Armory Blue, arrives on October 1st, right as the basketball world gears up for another big season. If you felt like you could barely catch your breath from the rumor stampede,
they never thought that was possible. They never thought people would buy tickets. They never thought we'd play on ABC. Never thought we'd be on ESPN. They never thought it'd be sold out arenas, or little kids wanted to wear WNBA jerseys, whatever it was. So I think it's hard to say where it's going to continue to grow. I think
you're not alone. Because now, the question is no longer whether Caitlyn Clark has a future with Nike, but how massive that future is going to be. People are still shaking their heads over how convincingly that cancellation rumor spread. It started on social media with a few cryptic comments about Nike pulling the plug on Clark's line, allegedly due to shaky confidence in her marketability. Then random sources popped up to quote big, scary numbers about brand deficits. The chatter snowballed. You had TikTok videos proclaiming the deal was dead. You had Twitter threads exposing Nike's supposed pivot away from women's basketball. Even diehard fans who believe in Caitlyn's rising star started to wonder.
You extended your range by dumping more concrete.
Yeah, because it was kind of slanted. Our driveway was slanted, so I only had a three-point line on one side of the driveway. So I told my dad he had to tear up all this grass, and he did.
Why would Nike shell out a deal rumored to be worth $28 million, then backtrack? Nobody seemed to have a straight answer. The vacuum of information let every conspiracy, no matter how outlandish, flourish. All that was happening during a period when Nike, as a company, was grappling with some financial pitfalls. We know they had a rough stretch where sales weren't exactly climbing the charts. Shareholders were anxious. Critics were pointing fingers at Nike's strategy. When you put all that uncertainty together, it's easy to see why some folks found the cancellation story plausible. A big brand in trouble might cut its losses on any experimental product line, right?
And it kind of takes you back for a second, because I think, you don't always realize the impact that you can have on people. It goes way further than, making a logo 3 or making a cool pass or, even winning a basketball game.
That was the logic fueling the rumor. But evidently, Nike was playing a much deeper game behind the scenes. And for them, Caitlyn Clark was not just some quick bet. They saw her as a long-term investment. Right when the gossip threatened to spiral out of control, the truth burst through. Rather than reading headlines about a canceled sneaker, the world woke up to official confirmations of two new pairs, both connected to Kobe Bryant's storied brand. This was a direct blow to the rumor's credibility. It also served as a grand statement. Caitlyn Clark is no one-season wonder, and Nike isn't quietly trimming down its support.
I'm only 21 years old. I hope to have a really long pro career and be a really great player and be one of the best. But this has been my dream since I was a young kid, is to be in the spotlight like this, get a scholarship to play basketball, and then hopefully play in the WNBA one day. That's always been my goal.
They're elevating her profile using one of the most revered lines in basketball footwear history, the Kobe Pro Series. That's not a random marketing decision. The Kobe legacy holds almost mythic weight among players and sneaker enthusiasts. By linking Clark's name to that line, Nike is basically saying she's ready to carry on an iconic torch. Initially, some people were confused. Why a Kobe shoe for Caitlyn Clark instead of just dropping a brand new Caitlyn 1? The reasoning becomes crystal clear when you look at Nike's deeper strategy. The Kobe line has a cultural significance that extends far beyond typical sports branding.
Oh man, I think there's been a kind of a lot of those instances. In our game just yesterday, a little girl started bawling when she met me.
It symbolizes unrelenting work ethic, killer instinct, and a next-level drive to push boundaries, qualities fans see in Caitlyn Clark's game. Tying her public image to that lineage sends a message that Caitlyn isn't simply another player with a custom colorway. She's stepping into a heritage that resonates with legends. And if you think that's an exaggeration, just consider the hype. The second these releases were announced, sneaker blogs lit up, social media erupted, and even mainstream news outlets started covering the story. But that wasn't the only twist. These two pairs, first the Kobe 5 Pro Indiana Fever Edition, then the Kobe 6 Pro Light Armory Blue.
And, that's the coolest thing for me is I grew up watching players, whether it was Maya Moore, whether it's Steph Curry. Those are the people I always loved watching their game. The way they shoot the ball, I try to mimic that and try to be half as good. So it's fun for myself.
Are carefully timed. The first arrives in June 2025, likely coinciding with the peak of Caitlyn's second WNBA season, when sports media is still buzzing about how she's elevating the game. The second drops in October 2025, just as broader basketball attention starts pivoting toward collegiate hoops and the continued growth of the WNBA. It's a genius move because it ensures Caitlyn's name remains front and center in multiple sports cycles. Nike has essentially orchestrated a year-long wave of attention that rides on her performance, her fan following, and her own brand momentum. This timing also hints at an even bigger project. Think of these two releases as a test run. Nike wants to see how fans respond, how quickly the shoes sell out, and what the cultural conversation is around them. Will they appeal primarily to hardcore basketball fans, or will they cross over into mainstream sneaker culture? Will female athletes who admire Caitlyn pick them up, or will men also flock to these models because of the Kobe design and Clark's rapidly growing highlight reel? The data from these two releases might be the final puzzle piece Nike needs before greenlighting a signature line design from scratch. Because there's a difference between a collaboration and a signature shoe. A collab modifies an existing silhouette, while a true signature line is built around the athlete's unique style, preferences, and personal brand from the ground up. Plenty of watchers are predicting that 2026 will be the year we finally see a Caitlyn Clark one that is all her own. Nike has followed this pattern with its big stars in the past. From Michael Jordan's carefully orchestrated line to LeBron James' early pairs. You start by giving an athlete a platform, an existing product that's already proven, like the Cobes, then you watch the hype build. Once the stage is set, you unveil the signature series that cements their status in the sneaker universe. Considering the momentum Caitlyn Clark has, it's hardly surprising that this is the road Nike appears to be taking. The rumor fiasco exposed something else. As soon as the slightest suggestion arises that Clark isn't part of Nike's grand plan, the internet goes wild. That level of interest alone tells us she's a phenomenon. People who aren't even big basketball fans know her name. Her highlight reels keep going viral, her jersey sales break records, and her presence is shifting the narrative around women's sports. Brands usually dream of this kind of star power. And after A'ja Wilson's signature attempt fizzled, no major cultural moment, no huge sneakerhead rush, Nike realized that building a line around a marquee female athlete demands the kind of unstoppable momentum that Caitlyn Clark effortlessly generates. The talk about A'ja Wilson is important because it shows Nike has been looking for the next big female star for a while. They tried to champion her as a game changer, and while A'ja is undeniably talented, the sneaker market reaction was lukewarm. Some might argue marketing strategy was to blame, or that the design didn't resonate with fans, or even that the timing was off. Whatever the case, it didn't explode the way you'd want a major brand launch to explode. In contrast, Caitlyn Clark's rumored Nike deal was already drawing conversation before a single shoe design or release date was confirmed. Once the rumors started pointing to maybe it won't happen, it was like throwing gasoline on a fire. Everyone freaked out because the prospect of losing that collab was too big a letdown to ignore. Now, with these two official Kobe-based drops, Nike is making it crystal clear. Caitlyn Clark is the centerpiece of their renewed push into women's basketball. The June 1st, 2025 Kobe 5 Pro Indiana Fever Edition is more than a shoe. It's a marker for Clark's second year in the league. It ties her brand identity to the franchise she's representing and to the WNBA as a whole. Then in October, the Kobe 6 Pro Light Armory Blue does something different. It breaks away from any direct team affiliation and starts to showcase Clark herself as the brand. That second colorway signals that we're watching the early seeds of Caitlyn Clark, the icon, not just Caitlyn Clark, the Indiana Fever player. It's easy to see why the rumor about cancellation stung so many people. Caitlyn's stardom isn't just hype, it's tangible. You can see it in the record-breaking crowd she pulled in college, the viral clips showing her unstoppable shooting range, and the lines of fans clamoring for her jersey. Whether folks love her or love to hate on her, they're tuned in. And in the business world, that attention translates to sales. Nike knows that if they get this right, if they seamlessly merge her star appeal with the prestige of the Kobe line, they'll have a product that sells out in minutes. Sneaker culture thrives on storytelling, exclusivity, and the chance to own a piece of something transcendent. Caitlyn Clark, with her fearless style of play and massive fan devotion, checks every box. So where does this lead us? Don't be surprised if these two releases become some of the most talked about sneakers of 2025. People will dissect every detail. The color scheme, the subtle nods to Kobe, the personal flourishes from Caitlyn. And each drop will add another chapter to the mythos Nike is building around her. By 2026, if these collaborations hit big numbers and massive resale value, the stage is practically set for a Caitlyn Clark 1, a shoe that captures her style from toe to heel. And once that happens, once she has a signature sneaker that stands fully on its own, you'll know she's reached the pinnacle of the sports marketing world. That kind of ascension takes more than just hype. It takes performance, story, and cultural resonance. Clark has all three in spades. She isn't simply an athlete who scores points. She's a cultural lightning rod. The moment people started whispering that Nike might be nervous about working with her, it was a universal, "No way, are you serious?" reaction. That's how you know she's already far more than a regular star. She's the kind of phenomenon who can shift brand loyalties, cause jersey shortages, and get even casual viewers to tune into WNBA games. For Nike, which has experienced a roller coaster of earnings and marketing successes lately, Caitlyn might be the golden ticket they've been chasing, especially in the women's sports arena, where they want to cement their authority. This entire rollout is a masterclass in brand building. Ride the wave of an athlete's success, anchor her releases in an existing line with rabid loyalty, the Cobes, and let the synergy catapult both the athlete and the brand into a whole new stratosphere. The real kicker is how quiet Nike remained during the height of the cancellation rumor. That silence created the perfect environment for speculation to go haywire. And once they dropped the official news, 2 new shoes, not zero, public attention whiplashed into must-know every detail territory. It's quite the marketing move. They allowed the suspense to build before revealing that the truth was the exact opposite of what doomsayers predicted. In effect, the negative rumor became free advertising, stoking the conversation until the official announcement landed like a thunderbolt. Now that the cat's out of the bag, everyone's on the edge of their seats waiting to see what other surprises might follow. Will Nike add more colorways before 2025 is up? Will there be special edition packaging or events celebrating Caitlyn's transition from rookie to established pro? Could these early collabs feature hidden Easter eggs referencing her college days or her record-breaking performances? Every question fuels anticipation. This is precisely how you keep the momentum rolling in a market that loves nothing more than the next big reveal. One factor that gives Caitlyn Clark an edge is her style of play. She's brash, she's gutsy, and she takes shots from distances that make fans and opposing teams gasp. In other words, she has the kind of highlight reel that demands your attention. That vibe resonates beyond the stat line. It creates storylines and debates. People either celebrate her confidence or love to criticize her showmanship. Either way, they're talking about her. Nike understands that capturing that conversation is half the battle in marketing. The more polarizing or awe-inspiring an athlete is, the stronger the brand association will be when you put her name on a sneaker. So come June 1st, 2025, when the Kobe 5 Pro Indiana Fever Edition lands, expect immediate frenzy. The shoe merges the legacy of one of the NBA's greatest with potential of a WNBA upstart who might define the league's future. Then, on October 1st, the Kobe 6 Pro Light Armory Blue shifts the focus to Caitlyn alone, building her personal iconography in the sneaker world. Both drops feel like pieces of a larger narrative puzzle. By the time 2026 rolls around, if you see an official unveiling of a Caitlyn Clark signature line, know that the seeds were planted right here and now with these 2 strategic releases. The rumor that Nike ditched her, that was just background noise, a fleeting subplot in a story that's only getting bigger. If anything, the rumor drew more eyes to Caitlyn's eventual sneaker debut, turning it into something of a triumphant revelation instead of a quiet rollout. Watching how Nike has orchestrated this, you can almost hear them saying, "We're not leaving, we're making a power move," while winking at everyone who doubted them. In the end, this saga isn't solely about how many shoes get sold. Those sales figures will undoubtedly be massive. It's about shaping the future narrative of women's basketball. It's about rewriting the rules so that a female athlete can command the kind of sneaker buzz typically reserved for male superstars. Caitlyn Clark is stepping into that territory in real time, and Nike is giving her the biggest possible runway to shine. If these early collabs set new sales records or stir up the sneaker community like no women's shoe has done before, then brace yourself for a signature line rollout that could redefine what it means to be a generational athlete in the WNBA. Despite all the rumors, the cancellations, the speculation, and the swirl of online chatter, one truth stands out. Caitlyn Clark isn't just wearing greatness, she's on track to redefine it. Nike hasn't bailed. They've simply lit the fuse on a 2-part sneaker bombshell that'll keep fans guessing, talking, and buying all year long. So get ready for the June debut, keep your calendar marked for October, and brace yourself for the possibility of a signature shoe that might change the conversation around women's sports marketing forever. The Caitlyn Clark era has arrived, and the only thing that got canceled? Every doubt that she could carry this load on her own.